Here, Rich Rotella,
Here.
Anthony McGuire,
Here.
Emily Fitzgerald,
Here.
Matt Montgomery,
Not here.
William Foster,
Not here.
Matt McGinnis.
Here.
Second on the agenda, the rec committee vacancies.
So we have two or three, I think it's 2 or 3 spots that are vacant. And as Rich just advised us, it has to be Bucksport residents. So we'll have to look for a couple people to fill those. I believe they have to apply to the town, Rich, is that correct?
Yeah, there's an application. You have to be 18 years or older, a citizen of the United States, and a resident of Bucksport.
I can do an ad in a couple weeks if everybody would like. Recently on a local board, it's generated about four people for the board, so maybe it could bring a few people.
We certainly can do some internal recruitment too, of staff members. The only tough part
Between
is,
coaches and
yeah,
whoever else around, so we may have some people interested.
the tough part about getting a teacher is just the timing of this meeting is not conducive to
Right.
that work schedule, so.
Okay, any questions on that? Next on the agenda, facilities and field update.
Anthony, do you have any special projects planned for the summer?
Not for fields. The only thing I've got is we're looking at changing the water booster pumps at Miles Lane. You know, I was gonna have a conversation with you about daycare and things like that. And that's all being run through Jewett School for the summer.
Yes.
Okay, so I don't have any issues with that, and that's not gonna hurt. That's not gonna coincide with the summer program this year, so. It's good.
I did briefly talk to Luke this morning about the sinks and toilets up at the pool house. From the sounds of it, it's on the list for the potential new facilities manager, director that the town is in the process of hiring come July. They're old, they work fine, they're just old no matter how much we scrub them, bleach them. They're just not, they don't catch your eye. Let's just say that.
They're out of date.
Ice rink, I think Rich and I briefly talked this winter about relining the exterior, since it looked like the full rink froze. I could be wrong as far as our conversation, Rich.
Well, there's potential changes coming to the ice rink, including one that building's going, will most likely be the new home for the facilities director. And number two, the counselors have been going up on tours of the facilities in town, and that's one that may be reconsidered for a different use.
I know last summer we ran into a couple times that the lights at the basketball courts weren't turning on or weren't turning off during the timing that it was supposed to be on. I think we had it kicking on at 4 or 5 and then shutting off by I think 9 or 10. And I know there was a couple times either you or Sergeant Moody reached out to me and said, hey, the lights are still on at this time. And there was some people that reached out, hey, they're not turning on. There's something for us to look at this summer as far as the timing system set up, and if it's a user error on our end, then that's an easy fix.
Yeah.
But other than that,
You want me to take a look at that? Just put some eyes on it and see.
Yeah, it's a brand new system. The folks that you recommended came in and replaced the lights and put a brand new timing system in here. I went in there once with the boys and we got it fixed. It may be a similar issue we face down here. If we lose power, even a flicker,
They're
it
reset.
reset.
So the timing controller was replaced?
Yes, yes, because it used to be a switch at the telephone pole and there was a box, so they ran a line to the building and there's no longer a fuse box out there, if I remember correctly. Or,
I thought the controller was didn't get replaced, they just rerouted.
I'll look at it,
Okay, I thought that
You
got
can check to
replaced.
see if it's reset, cause we
Yeah.
just had a power outage,
correct.
so we'll be able to tell if it was.
Yeah, we can start getting it on now for the upcoming season too,
Yeah.
and that could be our trial run.
And I can reach out to Bruce and pick his brain on it as well. He'll be in town in a couple of weeks for that project at the school that he's gonna be present for, so.
And it's possible that it may not be new, cause I would have expected it to have been digital. Cause the new ones down here are all digital, this is still the dial.
So it's probably.
So I don't think that's been updated then.
Well, I don't think it was ever there until he came, he installed it.
I thought so too, cause we've had two for the ice rinks, but yeah, we'll ask him.
I'll ask him.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's Carmel Electric, right?
No,
No.
it's Bruce Parker. Okay. Next on the agenda, after-school programs.
After school program's going wonderful. I brought on Cheryl Sutherland and her daughter Alexis, within this last month. And they've been a blessing to the program. Helps that Cheryl works with majority of the kids during the day, so makes the transition easier. And then during vacation, they made some colored and personalized some hats that I put up on our Facebook page for the community to see and kind of celebrate that activity. And I call them Christmas decorations, but they're not Christmas exactly. They're more kind of like maybe window decorations to hang up. But the kids painted them. I think they all painted about 10 each and brought them home. And then to end the week, they watched, I think, Inside Out, and between Cheryl and Miss Alexis, the kids were able to have like a customized popcorn bar with different ingredients. That's awesome. To end the week. And they're both excited to return back in the fall and help expand the program and be more fully involved in it going forward.
That's been sustainable, Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many kids, Matt?
We're down to 17. We lost some due to BACC opening up after school for older siblings that have little kids over there, which is totally understandable. And I didn't really open it up to the community. Just one, I didn't know if we were going to keep it going forward, and then two, also just to make sure like we got our feet wet, we got a routine, and then that way, come next school year, we know what we need to adjust, we know what we can do better, go from there.
Have we heard from BACC in terms of their plans for next year? Cause I know they were doing a trial thing over April vacation.
I haven't heard anything.
Rich, have you heard anything?
I have not, though they were here for budget and did do a little bit of spiel, and I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what they said. I think the plan all along was to try to get it back in their hands for the upcoming school year, once they could get staff on board. Where were we for a high when the Y took this over? Do you recall that number?
Like what, our high enrollment number?
The high enrollment for the after school.
We had, our highest number was 24. Not like per day, but
Sure.
just in general.
Yeah.
And the Y board decided to hold on to the after-school program and continue it next year,
Okay.
so.
What's your number that you have to at least break even?
I'll bring it on Cheryl. I haven't looked at it since then.
Roughly.
Probably, I mean, we can have up to 26 per day,
Right.
so I would say at minimum 20.
You
Signed
need
up.
20 to break even for the day.
I would say, I can dive into that more.
Just more, again, thinking of sustainability. If,
Yeah.
you know,
It's just tough right now because Cheryl is also doing an after school program for Darcy a couple days a week, and then she'll, I think on Fridays or at least one Friday a month, she's got a meeting. So her schedule isn't completely.
Yep.
So some money saving there.
I remember the only thing I remember from the meeting when she was there was that she seemed really motivated and optimistic.
Cause that's where the money is.
It is, that's my big question is if, and I'm not saying who should have, or, but if there's competing and you both are gonna have a minimum number that you're gonna need to break even for them to be sustainable, so.
I know we typically haven't had competing programs in the past. I think childcare, probably more so after-school care, is a big need.
It is, absolutely, yeah.
It's one of those, you sacrifice having, like, yeah, have two parties compete theoretically.
And it is big, cause I remember Bree went through it with the Y when Nick was running it. And cause there was the need, because the ACC couldn't handle any more.
Right. Well, especially the older, cause you're taking older kids as well too.
Yeah, we're just taking the school age.
School, right, so you're taking in the middle school too, right, are you taking?
Yeah, I think we have it opened up to fifth graders, but we don't get any.
You don't get it, right,
I think.
but that, I know that was kind of a trade-off here, cause the ACC I don't think takes, I know they don't take fifth graders unless they're siblings or, so that could be.
Middle school age, I think most parents trust their kid to be home.
They do, but I think sometimes they just want them to be involved in
Yeah.
activities too,
Yeah.
right, you know, socialization and.
Very good. Anything else on after-school programs? Update on the Tim Emery pool.
Water lines passed inspection around on April 22nd. I cleaned out the pool itself on Monday. There was a lot more just twigs and acorns. There was no leaves inside the pool, shockingly. Acorns were fun to leaf blow, and eventually I gave up and just put them all in the deep end and then swept them up. Pool looks great itself. Best it's looked in my 5-year tenure. Mike Zielinski, he called me yesterday or Monday. Advised me he talked to Bobby about where the cement and pavement meet. There's some cracking. They're gonna put, Bobby's gonna come over and put some heat seal, I think it was, down. To make sure that's taken care of. Then I'm gonna get over there one day this week, power wash the interior, cause it needs it. And then Mike, once the paint gets delivered, Mike's gonna repaint the floor inside the pool house. And go from there, and staff is still a work in progress. I did contact my resource at Husson, see if you could send something out to students that are hanging around for the summer. See if they wanted at least a summer job. One benefit to lifeguarding here in Bucksport is, yeah, it's a seasonal job, but it can turn into a year-round, utilizing the Blue Hill Pool and the Ellsworth Pool. So I've had I put a post out last night, and I've already had a few people reach out to me, even one of my friends from Portland, but I don't think the 2-hour drive would be beneficial to her for the side gig, so.
Question, does Mike's pool service have to paint inside the pool house? Can we do that internally, maybe have some high school kids who are looking for some volunteer hours if they're supervised?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, the town's just, I believe, just paying for the paint. Mike,
We're paying for the paint and he's just doing the work?
yes. Normally he would paint it along with it. I guess it would be,
We're saving money anyway, but yeah.
I guess we'd have to look at the contract that he has with the town. And if it's included and the town's already paid for it or planned for it, I mean, it's just a matter of adjusting. But
I'd say if it's included in the contract, but if it's not.
Yeah, if,
Let's put it out.
I can check with Sue on that. And
what's the minimum age to be a lifeguard?
gotta be 15 by the end of the we're doing a certification training the week before. So they have to be 15 by the end of the class.
Did you send a post for Aaron to push out to high school kids?
I will after this. I normally send it to Dan and Cindy.
All set, anybody got anything else on the pool? Next agenda item, summer camp update.
So this was gonna be a slightly rough and then some good. Then I got a good phone call this morning. So as of right now, we have as of last night when I double checked, we had 37 campers signed up for the summer. Compared to years past at this time of year, it's down. However, Matt called me this morning, and either he or the board approved offering at least a Monday, Wednesday, Friday option for families to sign up for summer camp. Up until this morning, that wasn't an option, it was just full week. Between the numerous phone calls and emails, private messages to myself, it's coming back, at least the 3-day option, to meet families halfway, for summer. And I believe, I was in the hospital with Avery and Lexi when Christina reached out to us about the RSU program. So I pushed it over to Matt, like, hey, I'm kind of busy at the moment. Could you talk to Christina about this? But we're gonna collaborate with the RSU on getting 20 students to summer camp during the month of July. And then the robotics team, 6392, Miss Lily Frost reached out to me about doing an activity with the campers this summer, which is turned now into at least once a week. They're gonna come over and work with the kids. As far as how many, still working out the final details, but they're gonna work on basically building the robot from scratch and then driving it on a course.
That's pretty cool.
So, and it's not gonna cost the families anything extra if we did it, just sign up who's interested instead of saying, hey, kids, you guys are gonna all do this.
That's a great idea.
Matt, what's your capacity for summer camp?
So it's a 1-13 ratio. According to our license, I think we're allowed 42, but we typically average 42 per day. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's where it's ratio based. We've had more, but I believe our license says 42 or 50. I could be wrong.
And that's for when you're indoor, or does that include outdoor as well?
That I would have to double check. Our license, but we've had more than 42 kids on a day, but we've had the staffing for it typically.
So you're always in your
Yeah.
13-to-1.
We're always in ratio. I always, not counting myself, counting myself, we always have one additional staff.
Yeah.
The way I look at it, in case something came up, first aid wise, or if a kid had to go to the bathroom, or a couple kids had to go to the bathroom, instead of taking 13 kids with one counselor for a couple kids to go to the bathroom, we only need to snag like a buddy, like a bathroom buddy. That way we avoid one-on-one situations and stuff.
Is the SNAP program happening over the summer, and do the camp kids are included in that?
Yeah, anybody is included in that.
I did talk to Lily about doing a trial run as well with the after-school care kids, just so they can get their feet wet as far as how they wanna set up the activity and how it's gonna look potentially. So still working on details with her on that, but I think it's a great idea and kind of takes one activity that we don't have to plan for.
And we know we'll have the funding for that, cause you know, we use our title funding, and as some people may know, federal funding is a little sketchy right now in some areas, so but we are good through October 1st, so this year is definitive. Next year, we just have to wait and see. Title funding wise, but
And it's 6329.
that's,
You transpose the 9 into 2.
Blame David.
It's alright, your fingers got affected.
Yeah. I was using Lexi's new desk and her chair that's there, it's like way down, so I'm like,
Any other discussion on summer camp? Next topic is summer programs.
We got Tour de Lock on June 21st. Got Brewer Timing Service coming back again.
How many races? Numbers have been down.
Last year we had 61 total, which was the biggest. Yeah,
Wow,
which
that is
That's quite a lot.
that was the biggest I've seen.
I thought it was far less than that.
I think most of them came on race day to register.
Yeah.
So
That's a good number though.
And the good news is this year, we're not competing with the bike,
They didn't come back to Maine.
They didn't?
I know I didn't realize our website lady got done a few months ago, around the time Avery was born. So getting registrations online has taken a hot minute. But finally got that figured out through the Ellsworth American. But right now we have 3 people signed up, but I know there's gonna be more that haven't signed up, they're just waiting, or they'll wait till race day to come and register.
I know in the past, prior to the bicycle race, we would assist with that to some degree, and we always staffed an ambulance at the end of the race at the pool. Now that they're no longer going to be here, I would like to try to do that again.
Yeah, we've had you guys there. We had you guys there one year. Was that,
Yeah, I think we did it a couple years in,
or at least not since I've taken over.
sure, yeah, I mean, we put the ambulance at the end and had the lights going, it's just kinda neat to do. And I would like to get back to that now that we're not staffing that bike event. So just let us know.
That just reminded me. I can't remember the doctor's name. Dr. Cameron from Premier Rehab and Training in Bangor. They're gonna be on site they're gonna have a little area set up. I told them they can set up outside the pool or inside the fence to help runners at the end of the race kind of cool down or relax their muscles so they don't cramp up or whatever. So they'll be in. They'll be at the race at the end of it.
How long is the race? Where does it start?
Starts at the corner of Jewett School on Broadway.
Yep.
And goes out Central, across Millville. Is it up across, down Silver. Comes past Ian's and baseball field.
Yep.
And then ends up at the pool.
Okay.
It's a 10-mile.
So now you know how long you have to practice.
Yeah, I've already been in the ambulance, I don't need to get into it again.
Great service though, right?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
they were there in
Fantastic.
no time.
Downey Showdown, just lost one boys team. They're going with their girls so their boys coach can watch his daughter play. But then I picked up Callis to fill their void. So as of right now, we're up to 20 teams total between boys and girls weekend. And that's July 12th and 19th weekend. I am gonna reach out to it's a business over in Hamden. Did them used them last year for the dehumidifiers. Bouchard. And see if I can work out a deal with them again.
That was very beneficial.
Very beneficial. And thanks to Kenny, up at the middle school, we were able to cool it down even more. He opened up the second gate to the cafeteria, and he said once that opened up, and even some parents and my staff up there said that once that was opened up, they could feel the air flowing a lot.
Circulation.
So I'm gonna keep that in mind for this year and have it opened up before we actually start games. But now last year I think we had about 4 to 6 fans in both gyms going on top of the dehumidifiers. And the floor stayed tacky, but also helped. Anthony picked up some, I don't know what it's exactly called, but we put that down in the morning before games, and I think I did it once in the middle of the day just to err on the side of caution when we had a good break. But Downey shootout, I just need to get it pushed out. I have had already some teams from last year reach out to about it.
Do you have dates for that?
That will be the July 26th weekend. I think it's the last weekend of before hands off. And it doesn't conflict with the Mount Abram tournament, which is a big 11v11 tournament. I think between them and us, we're the only two that I know of that do 11v11 tournament, opposed to most do 7-on-7. Which numbers wise 7v7 works, but as far as getting ready for the regular season, in this my opinion, 11-on-11 is more beneficial. Which some teams did ask last year, Anthony, if for the middle school field, if we can extend it,
Mhm.
because they felt it was regulation, but it almost seemed shorter. So I was just going to talk to you about that before.
Shouldn't be.
Measure it, make sure.
We'll measure
We have
and make
space
sure.
there, yeah.
Yeah, should be the same size.
Camp Goalball tentative date, I put July 28th to the 30th, because I know football typically does Monday through Thursday, and Thursday is typically their 7-on-7 night, so if you do Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, that way the coaches and high school players don't have to worry about.
Which we're looking at changing that this year. With discussion, we're looking at not participating in the Hampden League and doing something more localized with local teams. Ellsworth, Dexter, things like that are people that we actually kind of see throughout the season. I don't think we have the details worked out with that. I don't know if it's gonna be in one set location or we're gonna move around, but we would be typically using the practice field for that. Game field, I don't think. So, I could check with coach and see what the thoughts on that would be. We only got two. I think we only played twice last year in Hampden. We got rained out a few times and there wasn't, I think there was some scheduling conflicts in there too, so. We really benefit from that.
Those are the tentative dates for Camp Goalball. Plan to have basketball camp the week before for a few days. Then soccer camp, to be determined. I just need to find an instructor to conduct that for me. He wants to see me out there trying to teach soccer.
Before I, just to go back a second, before I left to come down, Sean did mention for you to just reach out to him about Camp Goalball.
Pick up soccer at the BMS. It doesn't sound like there's any projects going on up there. So just need dates and then time.
The only thing we do is, we top dress and overseed. That's usually the end of June, beginning of July. So I don't think that, but we should probably stay off those until that starts to take. The other request I've had was if the goals get moved, if they could get put back. So we're not taking time with stuff when they're up there doing mowing and doing work. That's the only thing that was really asked.
Might be a week later compared to usual. Just doing a trip to Virginia. Other than that, all good. Just need the date for, you said seating?
Yeah, and we don't have that nailed down yet. But Sports Fields comes in and does that, and we're kind of at the mercy of what they have scheduled because they go all over the state. So as soon as I have that nailed down, I'll have that out. Yep. It looks like it's taken pretty good up there. It's even better shape now than it was last year. It's kind of like a fine wine when you're dealing with turf. It takes a few years for it to really come into it. So.
I mean, people were really happy even after it was first done, just because of the stark difference.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's only gonna get better.
There we go. Yeah.
Doggy paddle fundraiser, I did get confirmation from Jacob. I looped Sue in on it as well, just to make sure the town was okay with it again. But they gave the thumbs up, green light. That'll be August 23rd, the day after the pool is closed to the public, so we don't have to worry about any cross contamination or having to drain the pool and then refill it. Cause we'll drain it immediately after it's over. Basically on that Friday, Mike or I will shut the system down. And then on Saturday, when the event's over, I'll open up the line and let it go. Last year, I think we raised, it was $350 in money. And then we got an abundance of supplies for the animal shelter as well, from toys to cleaning to food, you name it.
That's awesome. Keep me posted on that, because I don't know if she was last year, but if that's going to happen and a lot of that's coming to our shelter, I'd like to have our animal control officer there.
I think she was there.
She
I
may
know
have
there
been.
was a couple reps
Yep.
from the shelter that brought a dog or two over. And they're always welcome to, they want us to be there the entire day and set up a little stand inside the pool house. That's always an option.
Matt, question about the 3 tournament weekends.
Mhm.
Are there Bucksport teams this year,
For the basketball ones, yes.
boys and girls?
Yes. Ed's been helping me get a couple more girls teams.
No
On
for
board.
soccer though.
On board for it. Soccer, I haven't heard back yet. I think I know, at least on the girls' side, they run into the same issue with just participation with softball going on. I last talked to Sarah about it. And I haven't heard from John, but I believe it's this year that their numbers potentially start going down. So maybe that's why he's hesitant on putting it out. I also haven't, it's my own fault, I haven't pushed the soccer tournament as much as I should. Between just all the changeover staffing wise here.
Anything additional on summer programs?
Quick update on the playground. It is on the agenda for this Thursday. The original plans have been changed. We're on our 9th rendition of this playground. The cost now is $242,000. It's down from $298. Had a few items removed, but that does not include cost for. I had the playground representative here. We're gonna need 300 cubic yards of play chips. We have to raise the playground surface itself initially. So I got a quote for 300 cubic yards, and that's roughly 17,000. Trying to get that donated from the forest products industry. Waiting to hear back from them. And then the curbing, which is a big problem that causes the issues getting into the playground, needs to be replaced, and that has a cost, but I don't have a quote for that yet as well.
You said that's not part of the 242?
That's just the playground equipment, construction, concrete. That's all that there. The town is going to remove what's there, remove the footers. I'm gonna ask them to take the good roughly 4 inches of chips that we have now and move those to the swing set area so that we can get that back into compliance. And then go from there. I do know there's still opposition to the playground, so hoping for the best. We're running to a point though that much longer that we wait, it won't happen this year. As of right now, we're on pace for a mid to late August. If it gets passed at this meeting,
Completion or?
completion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what's delaying because of, as I've stated all along, I don't want to interrupt the baseball season, cause you got baseball, playground, and and skate park all at the same time being used, and the dumping ground for the chips, when it's 100 cubic yards, is the skate park. So now, 300 yards, you can only imagine that is about half of the parking lot, and we can't have that. Cause then people will park across the street, and then PD will get phone calls to haul them off, and so at this point, it's better off to wait till after the baseball season, and unfortunately, whoever's using it this summer, I think it's Babe Ruth or whatever that league is, will have to deal with parking on the street or where they can find it. We'll get it done as quick as we can, but
What's the skate park gonna do, just move their equipment and then?
no, the skate park's gonna stay where it is, the chips are just gonna have to be in the main parking lot.
Oh, gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so most likely my thoughts are, because we're gonna need to make ADA access into the playground, so it can't be in the front, that'll be against the back, by the back fence. And everyone's just gonna have to realize there's, if this all goes through, there's just gonna be limited parking, and that's, until it can be completed, is the way it's gonna have to be, unfortunately. For your tournaments, using the middle school field is kind of rough because we don't put porta potties up there, because the high school uses the practice field, so we actually have the porta potties there. The one that used to stay year round at the Miles Lane is now up by the church on Racecourse Road, so that it's not impeding what's going on with school activities. So if there are people using the trails, they can use it at that end.
No, so the first year I did this, it was super small, so we used the game field. And then last year, the game field was getting worked on.
Yeah.
So that's why we went up to the middle school. Like to get it to the point where I can practice basically all three fields, or at least two of the three fields. But porta potty, I can always look into renting a porta potty for the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, you can rent one. I was gonna say, there's two, because the porta potties come back to that field when soccer starts up in June, so they're down there. And it's just the fact of, unless people can move them around or you wanna pay, but if you just pay for one weekend, it's we changed companies because of cost. It's $130 for a weekend.
It's not bad.
I think it's bad for a month, but $130 for a weekend, I mean, that's, into your profit. So I mean, I don't know if you can maybe move it down, have the tournament maybe on the practice field where there's 5 teams. I don't think that's too much. You have access to the 2 porta potties, and then you don't have to get rid of that expense. But again, it's gonna be dependent on what Anthony's crew needs to do on those fields. Last year, the varsity, I'd probably recommend staying off the varsity field personally, especially if our team's playing there, but the practice field is 99% close to regulation.
For that tournament, it'll be fine, I would think. We got the nets there, so it would be.
Right.
Like I said, it'll save you $260.
Where we have a new vendor for those,
Mhm.
might not be a bad idea to reach out and ask them if we're allowed to. I know the other vendor didn't really want them moved.
Right.
These guys, I think, are more lenient.
Mhm.
I don't think, it's worth the conversation, say, hey, we're gonna move it down the street or whatever it is. And they might, if you give them a new location, they might even come right out to that
Yeah.
location to clean them.
Maybe move them for that weekend, and then, yeah,
Cause I talked to the truck driver, because when they dropped them off at the middle school.
Yeah.
They couldn't access the field yet, cause it was still a snowbank.
Yeah.
And I asked him if we could just put them up there with the tractor, and he said, yeah, he didn't care if we moved them around. So,
Right. that could be an idea too.
might be worth a conversation anyway, just to see if they're okay with that.
I think I went with the middle school last year, outside of obviously the game field getting fixed. Just simply because of the scoreboard. It was just easier to use a scoreboard that was already up there and that everyone could see,
That's true.
Yeah.
opposed to the little portable ones I have. I can always invest in a different scoreboard for the summer.
Well, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like Anthony said, I can always reach out to them and see if it's a problem to move them for the weekend and just move
I'd
them
rather
back.
be down on Miles Lane anyways, cause there's more shade, so.
Well, I'm just thinking also because Anthony's guys already have to line that practice field for Mike's summer soccer.
I was just looking at that schedule.
Yeah.
That's when you talk about it. So they only play it during the week.
Yeah, they play Tuesday, Thursday, but where you guys already lined it, I figured it's probably might be lined and they wouldn't even have to do that extra
Care
effort.
for it anyway all summer long.
Anything else?
I meant to bring up for pickup soccer if the smaller goals will be there by the end of June.
We can make that happen. Cause I think right now all 6 are behind the 5 bay.
Yep.
Storage keep purposes.
So
So they would, you would only need 2 up there.
Yeah, yeah. The big ones are just not enough people, and a lot of them are really young. And the younger kids like to goal keep
Of course.
quite a bit, so.
well, you can put more kids in the bigger one.
Yeah, there you go.
Anybody got anything else? So we learned before the start of the meeting that Dr. Tripp is not eligible to be a co-chair or chair of the committee. So we need to, number one, take a motion to take up an agenda item that is not on the agenda, so I'd entertain a motion. for
So
that.
moved.
Second.
Second.
Third, fourth.
So with
Gotta
that,
vote on
a
it, though.
motion, what's that?
You gotta vote.
Oh, yes, everybody in favor?
Or should you say I can vote or cannot vote?
Not vote. I think you're also not, cause you're ex officio, cause you're the director of the Y.
So can you have a vote with 4?
What do we got?
You do, cause
You
you
got
take us
4
off
out
as
of, you got 4 out of 1, 2, 3, 4. Matt Montgomery's also ex officio, so the only voting members are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 out of 5.
We have a motion, a second, and unanimous, so we need a motion for a co-chair for the committee. Any recommendations?
Anthony.
Who on the list?
And we'll make a motion to nominate Anthony McGuire for the
I have
co-chair.
a motion, actually, I have two
Second.
motions, and a second. All those in favor? Congratulations, sir. And one of us will be here. My concern is with our schedules, one of us won't. I don't wanna not be able to have a meeting because of schedules, so.
And to be honest with, at this point, if both of you are absent, we don't have quorum anyways in the meeting. when
That's
it
right,
happened.
yeah,
Sorry.
until we can get more people on board.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we could, like, again, I think that's something that we can address pretty quickly. I think we can get some people in. You mentioned this, so. Anybody got anything else that they need or want to discuss?
When are you looking for next meeting? Are you doing these quarterly?
It's
So after summer?
probably,
September-ish.
yeah, right as good around school start time.
September.
The next round of program start
Did
up.
you get the pool closed down and
Somebody throw us a date.
First, do you usually do?
So the first
Do
is
you know
Labor
when the first
Day, so that's
Wednesday?
out.
I try and pick one of the first 2 weeks of the month.
the 10th, maybe?
September 10th.
Cause school starts the 1st, correct?
Sorry, can we not do the 10th because that is gonna be a 18 meeting for us. We do the second Wednesday of the
Oh,
month,
that's right.
How about the 3rd?
3rd.
September 3rd, sounds like a deal.
9 o'clock still?
Hey Matt, back to that soccer camp really quick. If you reach out to either Acadia Fire or River City, they might be able to provide you counselors. And I could talk to you offline how we used to make it work and the program makes money.
I did last summer, the Ellsworth girls coach approached me, it was kinda too late.
Yeah.
He wanted to run a soccer camp here in Bucksport. But I was 50-50 on it, but it was also halfway through the summer when he approached me about it.
When we used to run them here, we used to get over 100 kids and
was-
3 years of running it, we made over $15,000. It's about $5,000 a year if you get the kids.
It was a really big event.
Any other topics?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.